Okay, everybody, it is Saturday, and we basically have today and tomorrow before it is Christmas morning, and those stockings need to be stuffed. So, today I'm going to bring you the last two stocking stuffer ideas I have for you this season. And before we say goodbye today, I will show you all 7 of the stocking stuffers which I designed and created especially for you this season. It's so nice to see you all. Drop your location in the chat so everybody knows where you're at in the world. And for some of you, Christmas may be coming even sooner because I know a lot of people open gifts on Christmas Eve. So we have to get sewing. Today I have a set. It's 2 gifts which you can make independently or you can make together. And they are designed especially for the bookworm in your life. I absolutely still love reading books. And so what is nice, I think, is to create a cover for the books. So I have made lots of cover tutorials before. This one's going to be a little different because we're going to incorporate some of that leather that I worked with yesterday. I get these genuine leather sheets at the Michaels, and they're just 9 by 12 sheets. You can use a coupon and get them, I think, for under $5 each. But they make wonderful handles, and in this case, we're going to try to use it as a little tie. I think anytime you can mix the different variations like leather and fabric or cork and fabric, vinyl and fabric, it adds a lot of interest. So we're going to make a simple book cover for an average size hardbound book. This is a book that I'm reading now. It's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being, and it is really fascinating and right up my alley. So I'm going to teach you how to custom size the cover because your book may be slightly different. Now this is also fun if you buy them the book too. So if you get the book, make the cover, and then we're going to make a bookmark to go with it that also incorporates a little bit of the leather. This was inspired by Pinterest scrolling that I was doing last night looking for fun projects. It's going to be a little Teabag bookmark. So this will be the first time I've ever made one, but I think it's going to be super sweet. So really, for me, the only unknown with this project is going to be if I can capture enough of this little skinny piece of leather to keep it secure. So we'll see how it works out. As an alternative to the leather, a little strip of ribbon would also be wonderful. And I suspect you could probably reinforce this with a dab of glue too. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All of this uses less than a half a yard of cotton fabric, the little bit of leather or the ribbon, as well as the lightweight fusible fleece. It's perfect for this project. So what you're going to do is take the book that you would like to cover, and I'm going to give you the measurements for this particular book in case you did just need to make a general book cover and they can go and find the book that fits it, okay? So my first rectangle here measures 14 and a half inches. I just want to make sure that that's actually accurate. Yes, but it's more like 14 and 3/4 inches, okay? So that's the width of this, 14 and 3/4 inches. If you open your book and place that flat on your mat and measure, you're going to add 1.5 inches to the width. Then for the height of your book, you're going to add 1 inch. That's the formula for the custom. So this particular one measures 9 3/4 inches tall. All right, so you're going to cut out 2 of those rectangles. One will be the interior lining, one will be the exterior. On the exterior, go ahead and put the fusible fleece. Then you should have enough fabric left over from those 2 rectangles that you can make, excuse me there, that you can make the little sleeves that the book ends are going to fit inside, okay? So those will already be the height of the book. So in this case, what was that? 9 3/4 inches. And then roughly, if you're making the exact same one, 6 inches wide. Okay, so you don't want them too wide because you just want the front and the back cover to fit in there. You still need some space, right? If they're too wide, it just won't work. So less is more there with the sleeves. And then in the past, I've doubled over that fabric, right? So you could do that as well and create a little short sleeve. In this instance, I'm just going to fold over one of the long edges twice so I can hem it, okay? So this book cover uses 4 pieces of material. One of them is interfaced with lightweight fusible fleece, and then 2 cuts of the leather, which I did less than 1/4 inch in thickness, and I just used the rotary cutter, the matte, and the clear acrylic ruler to get those nice and straight. It's kind of like when you make the tassels, just cutting off a slither of leather. Otherwise, ribbon will work really nice for this, okay? And you can omit the ties entirely if you want. It's nice to see you, Muriel and CJ. Thanks for joining me. I'm sure lots of people are going to be catching the replay of this because they're out running around. And yesterday I told them that I would be here tonight. But the way the schedule was shaping up today with the family events, I just knew that it was now or never. And I wanted to keep my promise to bring you 7 projects. So we got to do it when we can. Okay, so what I'm going to do now that I have my hem pressed into the long edge of each of my slips for the front and rear cover, I'm going to stitch those down, and I'm going to work on the underside here, and I'm going to use 1/4 inch, and I'm just stitching on the closest furthest edge. I have a 2.0 stitch length, 100% cotton Aura fill thread, 9014 needle, and I'm working on a Juki TL2000 QI. So I'm going to back stitch to reinforce at the beginning and the end of this. And so that's one sleeve, and then I'm going to do the second one. So I got my 2 sleeves hemmed. Then I want to bring back over the larger rectangles, and I'm going to place the non-interfaced one right side up on my table. That's the interior of this. I'm going to place the little sleeves that I just hemmed to the right and the left, and I have this super sweet snowman print here, which we'll see if there's some salvage left on this, and I can give you the name. This will get you all the way through winter. It's by Riley Blake Designs. No wonder it's so adorable. And it doesn't have the collection name. I must have already cut it off, but it is really sweet. Love it. They make me happy. Okay, so I have my right and left sleeves on my interior lining. So you're welcome to incorporate, you know, like an accent fabric inside of that. And then I'm going to take my lipped bit of leather and I'm gonna place that on top of there. And I think this should actually go right side down. The leather has a little raw edge. So put the right side down, leave that overlapping the edge about an inch. And there's not really a good way to pin or clip this in place right now. So that could get a little bit challenging. I hope it will hold in place. I have that centered approximately on those short sides. Then I'm going to take the remaining rectangle, which does have the fusible fleece, and I'm going to position that right on top of that rectangle with the sleeves and the leather. I want to carefully line up those edges. And I want to bring over a bunch of clips. And I'm going to try to secure this little tiny bit of leather with a clip so that doesn't shift on me. And then I can add a few clips around the edge just to hold those pockets in place. And the way that we're going to turn this is we're going to be leaving one of these edges open. So on this right hand side, I'm going to just peel back that layer a bit and go ahead and stitch that leather in place using just like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm only stitching that to the pocket and the interior, not to this top piece. And I'm actually not positive that that's going to work, but hopefully I didn't mess myself up there. I think I'll have to just do this the safe way. So you could disregard that step because now that I'm thinking about processing how this is going to flip, I don't think that that was necessary. So erase that from your memories. Okay, everything is in place. What I'm going to do now is use a 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Don't go over 3/8 of an inch, and the sweet spot will be right in between that, okay? So you don't want less than a 1/4 inch. That won't be enough to hold everything together. And for sure, you don't want more than 3/8 of an inch, all right? So if you can stitch this a 1/4 of an inch, do. And I'm going to start at that top long edge. I'm going to stitch all the way down the long edge, sink my needle down a short edge, sink my needle and back down a long edge. I'll back stitch at the beginning and the end. I'm going to leave that last short edge completely unstitched. as I approach that little bit of leather, I'm going to back stitch over that to reinforce. Okay, I still have my clip holding that second piece of leather in place, and I have stitched across the long top edge, the short side, and the long bottom edge. Now I'm gonna need to turn this around, so I'm gonna have to temporarily take out that little leather tie. Don't trim up the seam allowance because it's gonna make it too short, and then as you're sliding the book in there and this is getting used, those seams will pop and that fabric will be left torn. Okay, so now I have something that looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and give this a nice press. Hopefully my iron didn't turn off. You can use a turning tool to gently, very gently poke out those corners. Again, you don't want to bust those seams, but it is nice to have cleaner corners. So give those a little poke. And then give this a good press. This cover looks about the right size to cover the moleskin journals. So if you did want to take a chance and just go with my measurements, you might be able to make a cute journal cover. All right, so this is what I have here. I still have my raw edges on the right, and I have my little tie attached here, and it does seem pretty secure. I'm sure I could pull hard enough and break it off of there, but that won't be necessary. So right now I have 2 pockets on the front and the right edge is raw. I want to take that raw edge pocket and turn it around so that it's now inside out. And I want to smooth this out, and I'm going to go ahead and insert that little tie back in there. And I'm going to place it right sides facing down. That's the leather. And then I'm going to go ahead and give that an inch overhang. Get my clip in there to hold that in place. And now I'm going to use that same 1/4 inch, no more than 3/8 of an inch, and stitch down that right hand edge. When I get to that little leather strap, I'm going to back stitch. And there's no need to trim that seam allowance either. Then you're just going to turn that sleeve back around, poke out those corners real gentle. You can go ahead and give it a press again. I would avoid pressing the leather. Hello, Renee. I hope I'm saying your name right. It's nice to see you. I'm glad you're enjoying the series too. This is the last video in the series because we're making 2 gifts which can be paired up for a nice set. or you can make them separately and give them as individual gifts. So we just finished a really sweet book cover with leather ties that I'm about to press and then see if it does indeed fit. And then we're going to make a sweet tea bag bookmark together, and we're going to put them together as a set and give them to me. Okay, so be careful not to press the leather. I think it will leave residue on your iron, and nobody likes residue on the iron. Okay, so one idea for you, if you're concerned about these little leather ties, you could top stitch super skinny down the right and the left hand edges and get that reinforced one more time. So I just want to see what's going on here. Yay, CJ. There's a lot of good ones, and I'm going to show you all of them as soon as we're done sewing today. Okay, let's see if my measurements worked. This can always be a little bit nerve-wracking because the interfacing can shrink it up. I'll be darned if it doesn't feel too short. We'll see. It's good to have a snug fit, but not too snug. Okay, it's working. Just be careful when you're fitting it on. I can see, I mean, it is a really beautiful fit. You don't want it so big that it's like flopping around. This is actually perfect, but for a minute it had me scared. Okay, then you kind of have to bend the book a little backwards to get the next side on. Do not interface the other pieces of this because then it will be too snug. Oops. Just have to get that edge up there. It's like a superb fit, but it is a little scary there. So you can see it's nice and flush, no wrinkles. It's actually darling. Aw, the placement worked out really good too. This is the front, that's the back. Not too much excess, no sag or bag. And then on the inside, I have those sweet snowmen there and that little guy on the back. So that worked out really well. And then this is the first time I have ever made one of these with the little leather ties. Let's see how that works. I think I could probably tie a prettier bow, but it does work. Super cute. And then I was also curious if there was enough to wrap it around, and there is, and you could tie it on the back. So if this was going to be a journal cover, that's an option too. I will say the leather is kind of flaking off on my book though, so that might be annoying to some people. I love the look of the leather with this though, especially since there's a little brown in this print. So it's really cute. I'm super happy with the fit. So remember, add 1.5 inches to the length of the book and 1 inch to the height. Try to get closer to the 1/4 inch seam allowance and only use one piece of interfacing, or it's going to end up too short. If you are unsure about your seam allowance, it would be better to increase everything by a 1/4 inch, okay? But that gets you into some wonky measurements, I think. So this is a success. All right. Oh, Mary, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for joining me today. Yeah, it's an awesome fit, but if you saw me try to put it on, it was close. So that means it's perfect, but no room for error there. Glad you like it, CJ. Hello, Phyllis. Hello, Dorothy. Nice to see everybody. I bet you're all busy. I hope you could take just a little break right now and make a cup of tea. And we're going to make a tea-themed gift next. This is the last video in the series. I have a 2-project video coming here at you. The next thing we're going to make, I got the idea from Pinterest, and it's a little tea bag shaped bookmark. So I think it's going to go really cute with this. And what is required for this project? Another 12-inch super slim cut of the leather or ribbon. Little 1/4 inch ribbon might make your life easier. Then you are going to need 4 rectangles, which are 3 inches tall and 2 3/4 inch wide. Only one of those is going to have a piece of the fusible fleece on the back of it, okay? So pick 2 that have a pleasing configuration. I got my little snowman. And those will be the front and the back of your tea bag. And then take the remaining 2, all 4 pieces are the same size, and you're going to press them in half so that you end up with a piece that is, I want to make sure I did that right, 2 3/4 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. Okay, one of them you're going to press in half right sides facing. Okay, and one of them you're going to press in half wrong sides facing. Both of them should be the width of the tea bag there. So those we're going to set aside here. We're going to create another little sandwich. This will be the actual tea bag part of it. We're going to take the one that's right side out, and we're going to position that along the bottom of the tea bag, so the raw edges are on the sides and the base. And then we're going to take the remaining piece and we're going to lay that right on top of that, right sides facing. So we have yet another little sandwich, and we're going to take that little skinny strip of leather. We should have put that on there first. We're going to let that overhang an inch from the top, the long tail be coming out the bottom, and then we're going to put that piece right back on there. That leather is centered across the top there, 1 inch overhang. I'm going to get a clip there to hold that in place, and I'm just going to stitch right across the top using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so I can make sure to get that leather in place. And I definitely want a back stitch coming over that leather. Just use a 1/4 inch because we don't want to eat up too much of the shape of this tea bag. Okay, now I don't have to worry about that little leather strap coming undone. Now I want to fold this in half long ways, and I'm just going to angle off that top right hand corner to give this the tea bag shape. You see why I wanted to go ahead and get that secure, because you don't want to be trying to fold that in half and angling that, and then the tie is flipping all around. Okay, so now we are set to go ahead and stitch the right and the left hand sides of this using a 1/4 inch seam allowance Keep this tie out of your stitching, and you're going to probably want to start at the base of this. And when you get to the angle that we just made, sink your needle and pivot so you can maintain that shape. And just backstitch at the beginning and the end. Repeat for the opposite side. Okay, so now I've stitched all the way around the perimeter of that. Hopefully I've maintained that tea bag shape. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. And I don't think you have to trim this seam allowance either. So we're going to turn this around, right side out. Avoid tugging on that little strap if possible, even though that would be a super simple way to turn that. I'd be afraid it might pull out. And then go ahead and use your turning stick or your stuffer stick there to gently poke out those corners. Give this a good press. Avoid pressing the leather though, so you don't ruin your iron or your strap. Okay, and then here I have that little slip pocket at the bottom there is still right side facing out. So I want to turn that around to the opposite side. And actually, I forgot we folded this in half, so you really didn't have to turn it. Let me put it back. All right, so I gave it a good press. Again, forget that part. And the only reason we can forget that is because we folded that square in half. So both sides are the right side. Now all we have to do is take the 1/4 inch seam allowance and stitch across that raw edge. Back stitch at the beginning and the end. And then I have a fair amount of stray threads here, so I am going to trim this seam allowance to like 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm gonna flip that pocket around to the front, or the back in this case. And really gently press out those corners. And then I'm going to give it one more press. Oh, it's so cute, and it's darn near perfect tea bag size. Okay, let me give this a good press. This one corner is being feisty, but I don't want to bust it. This is what I have. There's the front of the tea bag. Here's the back of the tea bag, and there's just that little pocket there. I am going to go ahead and top stitch all the way around this with a nice narrow 1/8 of an inch, or I think they would say a scant 1/4 of an inch. And I'll take the opportunity to reinforce that tie again. Sink the needle when you need to pivot. now the Teabag portion of this bookmark is done, and there is that little tiny pocket back there. I don't know if it serves much of a purpose, but it is super useful for turning this and maintaining the shape. But it's still cute. Okay, now we just need to attach the little paper tab that would be at the end of the tea bag. So we have this rectangle here. We're gonna stitch along the short edge and the long raw edge. We're gonna leave the bottom open to turn that around. Use the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I've done that. Now I need to turn this right side out. So I gotta get that fabric in there a bit. I can't find my little blue tubes that go with this that turn it so fast. Whoops. You just pop right out here and be super gentle, poking out those corners. And then go ahead and give this a press. I like seeing where everyone is from too, Mary. We are definitely an international community of makers. We have people from all over the world in our community, and that makes me so happy. Okay, so now we have something that's pretty long, turned right side out, and the bottom short edge is raw. Now we want to tuck that raw edge up into this to get more of a small rectangular shape. Now this may end up being too much fabric for that, so we want to cut off to start maybe 1/2 inch and then try tucking that up in there another 1/2 inch. The mission is to get a square. I wanted to give you more fabric than less to accomplish this, because once it gets too small or you get too close to that cut edge, it's just going to start unraveling on you. And a little poker stick like this is super useful. So that's what I recommend. Cut off 1/2 inch and then tuck those raw edges up in there. And I have what is almost 1 1/4 inch square. You could substitute this entire process for a little piece of felt, nice thick wool felt, and cut it like, I guess it would be, you would be cutting it about 2 1/2, 2 3/4 inches by 1 1/4 inch, and then just fold it in on itself. Now I'm going to give this a good press. Likewise, I think you could do a piece of that leather too, would be cute as well. Okay, so now I have a nice little flat fabric square, which one end of that is open. So I'm going to tuck my little leather piece all the way up in there, and I'm going to top stitch all the way around this, and you can see I have a little tea bag bookmark. Oh, thank you, Mary. You are a talented designer yourself as well. I wish you guys could all see Mary's bags. In fact, you can if you join the Facebook group page, because she shares her beautiful makes photos of them over there. She is truly talented when it comes to repurposing leather. Whew, beautiful bags. Okay, I'm gonna top stitch all the way around this using a 1/4 inch or less seam allowance. Gonna definitely back stitch at my little leather strip. And this is a very tiny piece of fabric to be sewing, so go slow and don't let your fabric get sucked down into your machine teeth. Sinking the needle and pivoting is really key here. Okay, I've made it all the way around. I am really fond of this project. I'm going to rate the projects from my favorite, but this might have just bumped out my second favorite project. And I hope you guys have a favorite too, and I hope you've tried to make some of these. Okay, these also make great Mother's Day gifts, Father's Day gifts. What else is coming up? Teacher gifts. Not just stocking stuffers. They will bring joy to anyone. All right, so here's the bookmark. So cute. Okay, and here's how it works. So let's say you're reading your book and you would put the little tea bag in there to hold your page. And there's your bookmark. Isn't that cute? And this set goes really nice together. People would like this. Let me know what you think. And then the only downside is the leather is shedding a little on the book pages. I'll try to show you that. I don't know if eventually that would get better or not. That's one of the downsides of leather. Super cute. Okay, hope you like that. So now I'm going to show you all 7 stocking stuffers that we made, I think, in, when did I start? Was it Monday? It was a whirlwind week of sewing. This experience, the live stream experience, was invaluable for me because I need to be able to do a lot more live streaming in the new year. Recording and editing is awesome to create this really finished product, but it takes a whole day out of the week. So since I cannot choose something to give up, I have to simplify, and this is one great way for me to do that. It also is going to allow me to get back into the design mode that I used to love so much, which is simply just waiting for inspiration to strike and harnessing the inspiration. I love that. That is like a high in and of itself to me. And that to me is what creativity is really about. So I'm going to share more about that, my why and my mission for this channel in 2024 and beyond in my end of year video. Before we say goodbye today, and I wish you a Merry Christmas, I'm going to show you all the projects that we just made. Okay, we started with and somehow oh no, I got it right there. I was like, I think I'm missing one. And I'm going to try to rank them in my favorites. All right, so first we made a little tea wallet, and it holds actual bags of tea. This could be multi-purpose, and it could be a little first aid kit. Maybe it holds those little wet towels, maybe little wipes of any type. I mean, I think there are all different kinds of little samples that kind of come in that packaging. So you could get pretty creative with this and put some fun stuff in there. Heck, it would even make a little cute sewing kit. So lots of potential for this little tiny wallet. You'll find that tutorial. I'll link to the playlist that has all of these in the end for you. Then we made a fleece blanket out of 2 yards of fleece, and we hemmed that with a decorative machine stitch that is on a lot of our quilting machines, and we never really get to play with those. And I used a variegated thread. If you had a metallic thread, that would be really pretty. You could monogram this, you could embroider on this. There's a lot of fun you could have with this. I just use a solid fleece, but they have oodles of prints and all kinds of themes. So that was the second gift. The third gift was a taco shaped cord keeper. And this holds the USB-C cords perfectly. The bigger you make your circle, the larger the cord. So that was the third project. The fourth project was this gorgeous reversible apron, which has these darling penguins on the opposite side. So much room to customize this apron. You could add a kangaroo pocket to the waist. You could add patch pockets. You could do a beautiful monogram across the chest. You could do snaps or D-rings on this strap. Like, just really a lot of options to improve this design. All that being said, just as is, it's a lot of fun because it's reversible, lightweight, and machine washable. So lots of options for you there. I think it would be darling to do the cross-back strap on this, and I would very much like to make another one with that. And then last night, or I think it was last night, yesterday afternoon, we made this super sweet caddy with the leather handles. Darling. And then today, the 6th and 7th gifts were the custom book cover and the, oops, it's tied, the Teabag bookmark, which make a beautiful set or could make great gifts on their own, especially if you put a journal or a book with the gift. So I think it is a close tie for me for first place between this apron and this book cover. If I got a cookbook with a cover and the bookmark and the apron, I would be really, really happy with that. So I don't know if I can pick. I'm almost putting this in first place, but that's just because I absolutely love books. So there can only be one real winner. So this is the winner chicken dinner. My first pick for awesome stocking stuffer is the book cover and the Teabag bookmark. Second pick is the reversible apron. Third pick is the little fabric caddy. Fourth pick is the Teabag wallet. Fifth is the taco cord keeper. And then last but not least, the fleece blanket. I would love to hear which one is your favorite. Leave that in the comments or drop it in the chat. The next time we will see each other will be either New Year's Eve or right before New Year's Eve. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. It has been an absolute pleasure to design and produce these videos for you featuring these 7 simple stocking stuffers. I hope they bring joy to you and to your family and friends. And I will see you in the next video just before the end of the year. Enjoy your time with friends and family. And thank you so much. Merry Christmas, everyone.